Wake up, wake up.
From
y'all.
Jerusalem, Israel, this is From the Midwest to the Middle East, the podcast that explores everything new in U.S. and Israeli economy. Here's your host, Philip Stein.
Everyone knows the saying, there are two inevitable things in life, death and taxes. But one needs to put their head on a pillow every night and live somewhere. And I think today's guest is really touching upon a topic that everyone is interested in. If you own a home, if you're planning to buy a home, if you're planning to lease or rent out a home, or some investment property you have. I think all of us have something to learn from our guest today, Yitzi Kowalski, who will discuss real estate in general in Israel, but in particular in Jerusalem. And I think you're all going to find it very, very interesting. Look forward to getting some comments of how you feel about this podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Philip Stein and Associates, the largest U.S. CPA firm in Israel, providing U.S. tax services to Israelis, Americans, corporations, startups, and anyone else needing them.
I'm very excited today to have as a guest a well-known realtor in Jerusalem, Yitzhak Kowalski, who's the CEO of YYK Real Estate. He has been in the real estate business for over a decade. YYK Real Estate is here for all the housing needs people have in Jerusalem. Yitzhak, or Yitzi as I call him, can help you buy, sell, or rent apartments in the Jerusalem area. And it's known for its top-notch service, buying and selling homes, rentals, etc. So we're going to talk today with Yitzi because it's a topic that certainly Jerusalemites or people who want to live in Jerusalem or tourists are always asking about the real estate market here. And we're going to get right into it. Yitzi, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing actually great. Thank God. I'm glad to be here.
All right. So I've heard some numbers regarding the price of residential real estate in Jerusalem lately. What is and of course we're in wartime, but what is making the biggest impact? Is it supply demand? Is it Jews who are abroad buying second homes? What do you think?
So basically, it's both of those and a lot of other reasons putting together, but especially the supply and demand. The bureaucracy in this city takes forever. Like I was showing a property the other day, and the real estate agent was saying that it took 10 years to get the permits for the building. So that's just one example. And obviously the anti-Semitism, the war brought out the anti-Semitism in the world. And you have a lot of Jews coming to want to make Aliyah, and there isn't too much supply, and there's a very high demand, and that raises the prices over here.
I know where I live, which is closer to Modi'in, there's a lot of just projects stuck. Nothing's happening. You see whole potentially new neighborhoods. Nothing's going on. Someone also told me that they are bringing in Chinese or Indian workers, but the Chinese won't let them work over the Green Line.
Let me just talk about that for a minute. I live on Makol Chaim. There's two projects in front of our building, number 15 and number 17. And you see a lot less Arab workers, and you see a lot of Chinese and Asian workers actually right in front of our building. So they brought them in. And just for what a coincidence, a different Kablan called me up. It was 2 days ago, I think. It was on Friday. And he asked me if I have places for his Chinese workers. Everybody's bringing in workers. So they need they need housing. The Arab workers, they didn't need to supply the housing. They just go back to the Shtachim. Mm-hmm. So now that is also another reason the prices are going to be going up soon, because the workers is costing a fortune to bring them in. You have to host them. You have to give them food and all that, etc. Housing. So that's another reason.
Someone told me, I don't know if this is true, but that a Chinese worker working on a project in Ma'ale Adumim, could it be you have to pay them 1,500 shekel a day? Does that make sense? Or
I can find out of that. So that sounds very high. I know that for the Arab workers, around 300 to 400 shekels. Maybe it went up to 5 a day. Those are the prices for the Arab workers. Yeah.
So again, you mentioned before about anti-Semitism potentially creating a surge in Aliyah. Have you seen any signs of this?
I'll tell you an interesting. It's amazing they're asking this. I had in the car with me a doctor from Houston, Texas, and I picked him up from the hotel wherever we were staying. And I asked him, like, do you feel anti-Semitism in Houston, Texas? And his yes was so firm that it scared me. I wasn't expecting that kind of yes. And when he's in his 70s, he's actually now looking at a property through me that I'm actually won't be there because I'm not here. I'm happy to be here. He's actually seeing a property through me in Makol Chaim. It's just amazing that I wasn't expecting that kind of a firm yes from him. And that just shows. And I have also people from New York, from the tri-state area, when they call me during Miluim also. I just got out of Miluim like at the beginning of February. And I asked the Jews over there, do you feel it? And they say yes. And that is a bit scary. And that's, I think, one of the reasons for the prices. They're getting over here $20,000 to $30,000 a month or a square meter over here.
Wow. So let me ask about another group of people who like to live in Jerusalem, which are students or young couples, let's say. And of course, they tend to rent. What are the options these days with renting? I hear it's also a very tight market.
That's very tight. And another factor that goes into that is all the Pinui Binui and all the Tama 38. Any builder or contractor is doing Pinui Binui, guess what? Has to evacuate the tenants from over there. So there's another huge demand, and the supply is very low. So when younger couples or students or Chayalim Bodedim approach me and they're looking to rent something, they're either going to have to go a little bit further out, if it's maybe Gilo or Mona Natziv, but they're going to have to find something that's a three-story walk-up without an elevator, because they cannot afford what the other American, foreigner clientele can afford, which is kind of sad, but that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about the other end of the spectrum? What about retirees who, let's say, sold their family home and they want to downsize, and maybe they were living in a 200-meter house or 250, and now they want to live in maybe 100 meters, something like that. But they want maybe a building with some facilities or parking, things like that.
Yes, it wasn't just, I sold like a year ago, one of the bigger houses in Baka was on 400 meters, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And they were looking to downsize because of their, all the kids, either in the army or they're in college. And they were a little bit shocked, like just what you're talking about buildings, because he had a private house. He never paid Vad Bayit. Suddenly now wants to buy, so instead of 400 meters, he wants to buy 200 meters. But the Vad Bayit was shocked about the prices, like 2,000 shekels, 1,500 shekels. It was, you had to take that into consideration, because until now, he just didn't have to pay the Vad Bayit. So it was another factor that he had to put in terms of the budget that he was looking to downsize in terms of buying a property.
Interesting. I've been reading lately. I've seen a few ads and I've heard from a friend who mentioned it to me, who's in this downsizing stage of life, about a new neighborhood called Arnona Hills. Can you tell our listeners about that project? What is that?
Okay, so it's very interesting. So I think one of the first visits that I had when I just got out of Miluim, right before, actually, I think it was at the end of January, I went over there myself with my motorcycle. I got out of Miluim, got into civilian clothes, and I went to see the project. It's amazing. There's a lot of cranes over there. There's a lot of work over there. And a lot of Israelis actually are also buying over there because it's affordable. Instead of paying between 40 to like already 80,000 shekels a square meter, over there you can pay between 30 to 35,000 shekels a square meter. And you get all the amenities. You have private parking, storage, Shabbos elevator, and either a garden or a sukkah balcony. And a lot of the regular apartments over there were sold as mechir lemishtaken, like for younger couples in order to help them out. So what they have over there for sale in I think most of the projects, is either the garden apartments or the penthouses, because all the regular apartments were sold for below market value to Israeli citizens who fit the criteria.
And where is it exactly?
I was afraid you're going to ask.
Okay.
So it depends. So it's on the way to Mona Natziv, and it's right underneath the Shofet Chaim HaKohen. That's the best, next to Ramat Rachel. So I'm sure whoever's going to buy over there is going to be associated with the Ramat Rachel Club, which I was also over there during the Miluim. It's like a 5-minute drive, probably even less. And who knows? Maybe they'll build over there another country club.
And when might the first people be moving in there?
Okay, probably at least I think 3 years from now, maybe a little bit less, 2.5 years.
Okay, so this is really, really very new, and but it does sound certainly
Affordable.
affordable. Yes. All right, let me move to another subject that people certainly are noticing in Jerusalem, which is the light rail. It seems to be there's several lines they're working on that are currently in construction. How's that going to impact the Jerusalem state market?
Yeah, so first of all, whoever's going to be living in these areas when the light trail is going to be ready, you better get a motorcycle or a corkinet or a bicycle, because to get around the city in a car on a Friday or on the rush hour to school to take your kids to the misgalot, if it's gone, whatever it is, or coming back, forget about it. It's going to be problematic. But if you're asking on the real estate side, like every property now, if it's on Magaleh Yavne, Yoshua Ben Gamla, on Rivka, whatever is affiliated with the light trail, and it's going to be knocking down the building, they're going to build the Rizai. Everybody's asking for more money because they say, wait a minute, we're selling you 85 square meters. Just to give you an example of property that I sold. I got this property when I was in Miluim, and I actually sold it to someone that never even saw it, someone from the New Jersey. And the reason why they pay top dollar is because even though now there's no parking, there's no storage, and there's no elevator, the developer, obviously it's not going to happen tomorrow, it's going to happen in the next 5 to 7 years. You're going to get a brand new 120 meters. You're going to have Shabbos elevator, you're going to have parking, and you're going to have all the amenities that everybody wants. But in terms of the building, it's going to be, in one end, depends how you look at it, really. It's going to be, I think it's going to increase. People are going to access to get to work to downtown or outside the city to get to the Yitzhak Navon area. And therefore, the prices are going up already now. We already see the prices going up, not just because of the commute, but also because of the new buildings that are being built, because of the hakalot that they're getting from the area to build the rise high buildings in where the light trail is going to be.
I have 2 or 3 other questions. One is again, just I personally happen to be living in Jerusalem this year after being gone for about 17 years. And while I notice there's a lot of cranes and there's a lot of new residential buildings going up, I seem to be noticing there's a lot of storefronts that are empty or for rent. Is that because of the war or COVID, or is it what is that market like?
That's well, you're talking. So I just closed now a deal on Derech Beit Lechem 67. I don't know if you remember, there used to be a store over there as a kid. It was called Al-Gaman. My mom used to send me to fix the computer or the ink and stuff like that for the printers and stuff. And now they did a Tama over there. So the owners got a lot more meat ridge because they built the Mamadim for whatever. To make a long story short, it took for me forever to rent it out. One, there was COVID, and then there was the war. But finally, we rented it out. But to answer your question, I think a lot of people are also working from home nowadays. I think that's one aspect. And also, I think the owners have to understand that the prices that they were asking, they have to go a little bit less nowadays because of COVID and because of the war. And I think if the war hopefully will end, I don't know, Bezat Hashem will end, maybe they can get back to what they were asking. If it's it depends where. Next to Parkade, they're getting they were asking 300 shekels a meter. I think they got 250. We were asking 100 at the beginning. We were asking 200 shekels a meter. They got over 100, 110, 120. Depends how you calculate it. But that pretty much, I think, that story. It's actually a real estate company. I can't mention their name, but they're building projects right behind on Shalom Yudah. So they took the storefront in order to have offices for people for them to come in.
Interesting. How is the whole interest rates on mortgages affecting the real estate market these days?
That's also a good question. That usually I try not to get into that. I send either to First Israel and I let them deal with that, or to Yoni Hyman. Those are the guys that I trust.
No, but not for you. But I'm interested in, has it cooled things? Have people that might have been thinking of buying and taking a big mortgage and it just the numbers don't work?
So at the beginning, we felt that. We definitely felt that. But nowadays, I think people are realizing that it's a different. It just people are getting used to the rates. It's a new rates. It's a new era out there, and people are getting used to it, and they're taking into calculation. When it started, when the rates went up, we definitely, all the real estate agents, we were talking and schmoozing to each other, and we felt it. And then the war broke out, and anti-Semitism, and the dollar is relatively strong now, so it overcomes it more or less now. And people just got used to it.
If someone is, for what, can't afford Jerusalem, or is looking to maybe save some money and move out of Jerusalem, although I don't want to encourage people living in Yerushalayim, what are some other places people might be wanting to look at?
I think Gush Etzion, I think Efrat especially, I think also Tzur Adasa, these are and obviously Modi'in. I think these are the places that I hear is from younger couples at the Shabbos meals that I'm at, who can't afford it. A lot of people are leaving. Oh, and also Givot Eden, obviously. Whoever bought in Eden Hills before the prices jumped up over there, that was like the place to be.
Okay. Any tips that people who are thinking that you would give to them in terms of their expectations, if they're thinking of coming on, like you say, you picked up someone at the hotel from Houston, but someone who's saying they've always wanted to own a place in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem, or they're thinking of making Aliyah. How should they? How shall I say? Their expectations.
Yeah, I get that question a lot, and I'll tell you the way I answer it. Either you buy on paper, because when you buy on paper, it's always cheaper when it's going to be ready, and you always try to look for the 2080 in Modot Arnona. How do you call it in English? Well, you mentioned it, Arnona Hills. They even came out like there's 5%, a 10% payment, or 5% even, and then the 95 you just take a mortgage. I couldn't believe these numbers, though. So they're helping you out over there with a payment plan, either to look for property that's been sitting on the market for over 6 months when the owner is like dying to sell. Obviously, sad to say, divorces, those always the better deals. One of the property, I was yesterday with a couple from Los Angeles. It was a high-end couple, and one of the properties they were showing that was 24 million check, and the real estate agent said, they're getting divorced and they're willing to sell even at 20. They're willing to go, they want to get out of it. It was a beautiful garden apartment in Baca. Let's leave it at that. And what we said is the outskirts, what we mentioned. If it's now, sometimes you don't have to be, in center German colony. If you look, maybe Derech Beit Lechem is a little bit further out than, in Baca, or Arnona is becoming now very popular. Whoever can afford in Baca is buying nowadays in Arnona. And that's basically it in a nutshell.
Okay. If people want to know more, how to be in touch with you or about your company, how can they reach you? And
I'm on the web at YYK Real Estate. You'll find me.com, or Facebook. We have Facebook as well. I think I have an Instagram page as well that my secretary, she deals with that. I don't go on that too much. But basically, we're on Facebook, we're on the website, and I have a WhatsApp group that I send over there. Whoever wants to join my WhatsApp group. My cell phone is 0547-660-338. You WhatsApp me and I'll add you to the quiet WhatsApp group that I send over there. Some deals that sometimes don't get to the market. For a lot of times, the people who are on the WhatsApp group, they're the first ones to know about these deals.
All right. Well, Yitzi, it's been a pleasure.
Same here.
It sounds like you are a busy man and will continue to be a busy man. And we should see all these projects come to fruition, and the light rails be all operating, and probably won't recognize Jerusalem in about 10 years.
Probably won't. Yeah.
I hope you
Thank you very much.
Podcast.
You're welcome. My
Feel
pleasure.
free to visit us at www.pstein.com or look for Philip Stein and Associates on Facebook and LinkedIn.